So, Jennifer, go ahead and tell me about the paranormal experience you had at your house a long time ago.
Well, I received a wedding gift that was basically an illusion. It was of a pyramid that was like a little statue, and it lit up. And the pyramid, the face of the pyramid, the eyes, they just kind of like watched you wherever you moved. And so that was, creepy enough. But we started experiencing things in the house, like shadows moving over top of us while we were in bed. And then even sometimes during the day, I would notice like a shadow was kind of like just around me. And so I just felt really uneasy and uncomfortable. And I decided that we needed to get rid of it, so we threw it away. And then a week later, it ended up back on my porch. So then we decided to take a baseball bat and bust it up.
That's so crazy. I don't even know how it could have ended up on your porch in the first place. You threw it away.
Yeah. And I think it, my cat would like act crazy when I would see these shadows. Just my cat would be just acting crazy and just trying to climb walls and.
Yeah, I remember that. I witnessed the cat doing that a few times. Just, she lost her mind. But, so, after that, what do you remember your next paranormal experience?
I used to hang out with some friends that they like to go ghost hunting, which we kind of like thought it was really just more or less just something to do.
Yeah.
So we went to Soul's Chapel, and that was kind of just an uneasy feeling there. Like you knew that something was there. And at the time that I went, the church house had already burnt to the ground. But there was still a lot of markings and stuff in the concrete. And people still held, I think, rituals and stuff there.
They do.
But every time that I used to go down there, it didn't matter when you went down there, that the graveyard itself was always really foggy.
It is, isn't it? Every single time.
It's every time you go down there, there's a light fog. So.
Yeah. Wow. It's always really foggy down through there. What about the Hardwick house?
The Hardwick house was toward I want to say it was out maybe towards Monticello. And we went down there ghost hunting, me and some friends. And on the way down there, I got a bad feeling anyway, and I decided to not get out of the car. I was too afraid to get out of the car. And what happened with the Hardwick house is what I was told was that a father was, a single parent, and he molested his daughters, and then he threw them down a well because I guess some of the town folk had heard about it, and so he threw his daughters down the well and burnt the house, and all that's left there is the chimney. But I was too just too uneasy to get out of the car.
Right. I mean, you sometimes can just sense when something's off.
Yeah, I just told him that I couldn't even get out of the car. While I was sitting in the car, I was sitting there with just me and one other friend, and my other friends got out of the car. But the lights in the car kept coming on and off, kept coming on, the interior lights. And the doors were shut and everything.
So the lights kept coming on and off?
Yes. So by the time that we left there, we had to drive up this long gravel road, and it was just a really long gravel road. But the car started overheating, and it was like there was like smoke coming out from underneath the hood.
Yeah.
And the guy that was driving, which was his car, he was freaking out. And he was like, "What's wrong with my car?" You know? And so, anyway, nobody had cell phone signal or nothing. So we couldn't call anybody to come help us. So we were just praying that the car would just make it out of there. But by the time we got to the top of the hill, there on the gravel road, and got back to the main road, the car stopped smoking and went back to normal. And it didn't do it anymore.
Didn't you say you saw lights in the trees at one point?
There was lights out. It was a big field, and there was lights out in a field. But I don't know. They kept coming on and off, and we thought maybe it was something. You know, we didn't know if it was a tower or not because we couldn't see. It was dark, but they seemed kind of low for them to be on a tower.
Yeah, that seems too low to be on a tower. So after that happened, did you have any more experiences?
Not really. I kind of stopped going because I kind of got a little bit freaked out.
Did you?
Yeah. I did go to a cemetery, a really old cemetery. That was a lot of, it was basically like from the Civil War.
Yeah.
And I went down there in the middle of July, in the middle of the day, and it was foggy. And I asked whoever I was with, I was like, "Hey, why is it foggy in the middle of the day and it's 90 degrees out here?" And he was like, "It doesn't matter when you come, it's always foggy down here."
That's so weird.
I mean, I can tell you a story that I was told just through family, which was the house that, you know, Dad and his siblings grew up in.
Yeah.
Which they said had been used as a funeral home at one point, and they said all the time that stuff would happen. You know, stuff would whiz by their head, and it'd just be them there by themselves at home. And then, you know, that house actually, like, when they moved out and just kind of abandoned it, and nobody lived there. But I was told by some of the neighbors that they would always see lights on in there, even though there was no electricity hooked up, that they would see lights on in there at night.
Yeah.
Was this
the house that was built on top of the burial ground?
Yes. So once that house burnt, that house ended up burning down, and they discovered an old burial ground underneath the house.
Wow.
Was it Indian burial ground? Yeah, I think it was that. He said that they thought it was an
Native American burial ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I kind of remember that one story with our aunt and uncle. They came home from school and nobody else was home, and my aunt had a doll laying on the pool table, and it flew off the table and hit my uncle in the back of the head. And it was just him and her there, and they looked at each other and they left the house. They didn't come back until my mom and Paul got home. So that's the same house, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, well, thank you so much for talking with me about your paranormal experiences, sis.
You're welcome.
Okay. Go ahead and tell me about your paranormal experiences.
Well, the first time I ever experienced anything paranormal was when I was younger, around 11 or 12. And it was me and a younger cousin, and we were walking the road that went back behind our house. Well, we got to the top of the hill, and there was a man standing there, and he was dressed all in black. He had on a pair of black sunglasses, and he was holding a gun. And we stopped, and he said, "You girls need to get out of here right now." And we was like, "What?" He was like, "I said you girls need to get out of here right now." So, of course, we turned around and come back down and told my dad, and my dad went and got my uncles, and they drove back the road there. and there was nobody back there. Even the summer homes that were back there, there was nobody there. And they even looked through the woods and everything. And I mean, it just was crazy. It was very crazy. And I mean, it would have been not as believable if it would have been just one of us by ourselves. But no, and there was two of us that seen the same thing and heard the same thing. So that's one experience we'll always share. It was that. And that was my first experience. My second experience was with someone that I was with. I lived with them. And it was right after I had had a miscarriage. And we were arguing back and forth, and I went to go check on my son because he was asleep in his room. And I went in and checked on him, and I made sure his nightlight was working and stuff. And I walked back into my bedroom, and he was sitting up in the bed, and it was like his face had changed shape, like it had contorted. And it was terrifying. And I looked at him, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're possessed by a demon. You look like Satan." And he looked at me and he said, "I am Satan." I ran into my son's bedroom and locked the door, and I grabbed him and I hid in the closet with him, and I could hear him banging on that door. And all I could think to do was pray. I didn't know what else to do, because I knew that if he got through that door and got to us, that things wouldn't be good. And he didn't get through the door, thank God. I did hear him leave, and as soon as I heard him leave, I come out of the closet, I ran downstairs, and I deadbolt locked my doors. And I went back upstairs and got my son and took his little twin mattress and drug it into the closet and locked the doors, and we slept in that closet that night because I was so terrified. But yeah.